Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. I'm Charlotte, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you're having a lovely day. I do lots of makeup content on this channel, so if you love hauls, reviews, swatches and unboxings, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. So as you can see, I've got no eye makeup on today, so that means it's time for yet another palette review, and this new palette is by Beauty Bay, and this is the Wilderness palette. When they first put the picture up, it was black and white. And then you could see the shade name and it was sort of like mint leaf, and I thought this could be a green palette. This could be a green palette. I love greens, I love earthy tones, and I love Beauty Bay's formula. Since the Nikki Tutorials palette, I feel like their palettes have really blown up, sort of. Like before they were good, but I feel like more recently they are more known. Their makeup, they've got so much makeup now, and I was really excited. And when we got to see the inside of the palette, I was not disappointed. I was kind of hoping for an all green palette. This is what it looks like. So you have got your greens, you've got some blues, and you've got some reds at the bottom. So this palette retails for £15. So for me, I mean, it's not as cheap as some brands, but it is quite affordable because you do get 20 eyeshadows in here, and you've also got a massive mirror in the palette. So in this palette you have 13 mattes and then 7 shimmers, which to me is a good matte to shimmer ratio. I do prefer most of my palettes to be matte and then some of the shimmer shades. So I think we should just get into some swatches and then dive into this palette. So here we have the first 3 rows of the palette swatched. These are all the more greeny tones. There is a shade there, it's just very pale, it's very similar to my skin tone. So it's all one finger swipe, no base, just a dry arm. I think all of them look pretty good. These shimmers, oh my god, that one, they're so beautiful. And those are like the squishier texture. This one here isn't so much a squishy texture, and one of the red shimmers is more of a normal shimmer, not the potty formula. I did build the shade Mint up a little bit, but it is quite a pastel-like shade. And then we have the last row of the palette swatched. This is a shimmer here. This isn't like one of the putty formula, it's more just a standard shimmer. Again, all these shades are very pigmented, all on swipe and all on a dry arm. So as this is a Beauty Bay palette, I had to use the Beauty Bay Eye Primer, and this is the shade Base 2. So I love this primer. I tend to use it when I've already got my base makeup on. I think I'm mainly going to stick with the blues and the greens today. There is, like I said, a row of more red neutrals, but for the look I have in mind, if it works out, I'm going to keep focus to the blues and greens. So I'm going to take the shade Ivy and then pop that into like inner corners, inner portion of my eyes. So that is that's very pigmented. It's quite a deep green. I love these sorts of greens. I used to be terrified of green and blue eyeshadow, but now I love them. They're like some of my, when I'm trying to do more out there looks, it's kind of what I go to. Next, I'm grabbing a little bit of the shade Forest, and I'm just going to blend that around the edges of the shade Ivy. I'm going to rebuild them and blend them further, but first I want to do this outer corner of my eye. So for that, I'm going to go in with the shade Twilight. So I had to build that shade up a little bit more, but that could just be me because I was a bit wary. So it's quite an intense shade, but it does pack quite a punch, and it is a beautiful colour. Next, to try blend that out, I'm going to grab the shade Sky on a little brush, and then, like I said, try blend that out. Now I'm going to mix a bit of the shade Mint and a bit of the shade Snow, just to make the mint a little bit lighter. And I'm just going to blend around edges. I'm just going to blend around all the edges of all these colours and then kind of join them up in the centre a bit. so now before I do the shimmer, I'm going to go and do my lower lash line. So I'm going to keep this very blue-green, very grungy-esque. I'm going to use the same shades on my lower lash line as I did for the top. So for the green part of my eye, I'm going to go with the shade Ivy. And then use this bit of the shade Forest and a bit of the shade Mint to blend that out. And then with the shade Twilight on the outer corner, just connecting that up into the top lid. And now I need to use some of these shimmers. So if you haven't tried Beauty Base Formula, they are quite squishy, quite squishy, putty texture shimmers. I'm going to use my finger with these shades. So first one I'm using is the shade Moss, and I'm going to pack that next to the green. Then with my next finger, I'm going to take the shade Ocean and pack that next to the blue. And then for the very centre of my lid, and I'm going to kind of drag it up, I'm going to take the shade Ray, which is like the lightest shimmer in this palette. I'm going to start by trying to take that on a brush, but I know this formula isn't the best on a brush, but it's just so I can pinpoint it a bit better. And I'm also going to put that on my brow bone. And then I'm going to put like the same sort of shades on my lower lash line, just following that look. Can't wait to put some lashes on and see what I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera, finish my other eye, put some lashes on, and I'll be back to round up what I think about this palette. So what do we think? This is a lot... Ooh, maybe back there. This is a lot more grungy, I guess, than I go for, because usually I'll just go, ooh, let's do like a nice little cut crease. But yeah, two-tone, smoky, grungy. I really like it. Again, lashes never stick for me. Don't know what's wrong with me. But yes, lashes, I've got the Mim lashes, Mim Cosmetics lashes in the style Espresso Martini, which are one of my favourite lashes. Lips I have somewhere. I've got the Doll Beauty Boy By lip liner on, and then a bit of this Lime Crime Wet Cherry lip gloss in On Ripe Cherry. For my face, I've just tested out previously before I put my eyeshadow on. I've got the Made by Mitchell Blush Bronze and one of the blushes on, so stay tuned for that video. And then I've got the NARS Natural Longwear Radiant Foundation and the Soph Times Revolution Soph Times Revolution Sugar Frosting Highlight Palette, and I just got both shades on my cheeks. But to round up my thoughts on this palette, what can I say? Did not disappoint. It lived up to the expectations that I'd set in my head. Granted, I didn't use all the shades. How many shades did I use? So I only used 10 out of 20 shades in this palette. So obviously I can't comment on the whole palette, but knowing Beauty Bay, knowing what I have tried from this palette, I think it's brilliant. I really enjoy it. There was some fallout. I mean, the shimmery shades, as they are more of a putty formula, if you use a brush, you are going to get fallout with them. And that does make it kind of harder to place it, but as I was doing quite a smoked out look anyway, it was fine for me today. But you can get fallout. When I was doing my lower lash line, I got some fallout with the deeper shades, but it could have just been me how I was applying it. But this lower lash line, my eyes were set, my under eyes were set, and this colour still packed a punch, still showed pigment. I feel like everything's blended well. I feel like everything just looks good. I'm just happy. I really enjoy it. And as far as the actual layout, I really enjoy all the colours in this palette. It kind of reminds me of one of the Colourpop palette, but like bigger and more. What is it? Tropic Like It's Hot? From the Tropic Like It's Hot collection. Yeah, kind of got those colours in, but I love these colours. And I feel like it's a very versatile palette, because like I said, you've got more neutrals here, you've got some more pops, but it's kind of like blues, more like in between blue and green. Then you've got khakis and more like kind of goldy, and then you've got your warm tones. So I feel like you can do a lot with this palette and get a lot of looks out of them. But like, especially this for me in like autumn, when we get to autumn, is going to be a very good palette for me. Like, I can't wait to do a look with this shade here, the lime shade, because it's just absolutely stunning. Only thing with like these palettes from Beauty Bay, they all seem to be like limited edition, which is just a pain in the backside because you fall in love with a palette and then they take it away. Beauty Bay are always having sales, always got discount codes, so that doesn't help me to buy it. I don't know what will. You can get it discounted and it's such a good palette. And whilst you're there, if you haven't tried out Beauty Bay's eyeshadow formula, I think you need to. I think it's time. Comment down below, did you buy this palette? Did this palette interest you? And what are your thoughts on it? Did you enjoy it as much as I did, or did you find some issues with it? I will get a lot of use out of this palette. I know I'll get a lot of use out of this palette. And what is your favourite Beauty Bay palette they've released, like kind of in this format? Because they've got, I think Nikki's Tutorials has got more shades in, but then you've got Sunset Horizons, Book of Magic, and the Romantic. Oh, I can't remember the name of that one. New Romantic palette. So which one is your favourite out of the four or five? Don't forget to check out my Instagram. My Instagram is Lottie_loves with 2 S's at the end. I would really appreciate it if you would go check that out for me. It would mean the world. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And hopefully I will see you next time. Have a good day. Bye.